Ryan Hale opened his eyes slowly, confused by the cold metal floor under his body. He tried to sit up, but a sharp pain shot through his wrists and ankles, heavy restraints pinned him down, glowing with strange blue light. The room around him was dark and silent, except for a soft humming sound that felt like it came from the walls themselves. He remembered the battlefield, the smoke, the screams, the bright flash of something he could not explain, then nothing. Now he was here, wherever here was. The air smelled like chemicals and metal, and the light flickered above him like it was watching him. A door slid open without a sound. Ryan held his breath as tall alien guards entered. Their skin was smooth and gray, their eyes black and cold, their bodies were half armored, half organic, as if grown rather than built. One of them tapped a device, and the restraints shocked Ryan with a painful jolt. He clenched his teeth but did not scream. "Human unit is awake," the guard said in a deep mechanical voice. Then they grabbed him by his arms and lifted him like he weighed nothing. Ryan struggled, but even his strongest kicks meant nothing to them. They dragged him into a long corridor filled with bright white light. The walls were glass, and behind each glass window, Ryan saw more prisoners, humans, aliens, creatures he could not name. Some were unconscious, some awake, all afraid. Some reached out toward him, some mouthed words he could not hear, but their eyes told him enough. There was no escape from this place. Ryan felt his heartbeat quickening. Every step they took pulled him deeper into the unknown. He did not know who captured him, or why, but he knew one thing: they wanted him alive, and that scared him more than death. The guards stopped in front of a huge circular hall. The lights dimmed, and a low sound like a heartbeat filled the room. The doors opened, revealing a towering space that looked like a court and a throne room combined. High above, 3 giant figures sat on elevated stone platforms. Their skin was dark gold, and their eyes glowed like fire. They were not guards, they were rulers. Ryan was thrown to the center of the hall. The floor under him lit up in a bright ring, trapping him in place with a soft energy field. He tried to stand, but his legs shook from the shock earlier. He lifted his head and stared at the judges. Their faces were emotionless, carved in stone like calm. That scared him most, their silence. One of them spoke, its voice echoing without sound, more like it entered his mind. "Human soldier Ryan Hale, you have been captured under Code 7 of the Preservation Law." Ryan frowned. He had never heard of such a thing. The judge continued, "You are now a biological resource of the Terralion Tribunal." Biological resource, the words twisted in his stomach. Another judge leaned forward. "Your species holds rare genetic strength," it said, "strength we need." Ryan felt anger rising inside him. "I'm not your resource," he said, his voice rough but steady. "I'm a soldier, not a tool." The moment the words left his mouth, the guards stepped closer, ready to punish him, but the judge lifted a hand and they stopped. "Your resistance is noted," the judge said calmly, "but useless." Ryan tried to think, tried to understand. Why him? Why humans? What did they want? The third judge finally spoke, its voice sharper and colder. "You will be sent to the breeding chamber," it announced. "You will mate with newly adult females of our kind. This is your duty now." Ryan's heart froze for a second. He stared at them in disbelief. "No," he said, "I won't do that." This time the guards did not wait. They shocked him again, and he fell to his knees. The pain ran through his body like fire. Even as his vision blurred, he heard whispers, not from the judges, not from the guards, but from somewhere behind him. He turned his head slowly and saw alien workers standing in the shadows. Their faces looked tense, afraid, but not of him, of something else. One of them whispered to another, "He does not know the truth yet." A cold sensation crawled up Ryan's spine. What truth? What were they hiding? Why did the judges look nervous for a brief moment when the worker spoke? The main judge slammed a staff on the ground. "Take him," it ordered, "prepare him." The guards grabbed Ryan again, dragging him away from the glowing circle. He tried to pull free but everything hurt. As they pulled him through another corridor, he saw symbols on the walls, strange markings that looked like warnings or prophecies. One symbol appeared again and again, a human standing next to a burning star. Was that him? Was this planned? The corridor split into 2 paths. The guards took the left one, deeper and darker than before. Ryan felt the air change. It grew warm and heavy. He heard voices, softer, higher, almost whispering through the walls. It felt like something waited at the end, something alive. His heart hammered in his chest. and for the first time, Ryan felt real fear, not of death, but of what waited for him in the breeding chamber. He knew one thing for sure: this was not about survival, this was not about biology, this was about control, and they wanted to control him completely. Ryan looked at the guards, then at the dark hallway ahead, and he made himself a promise: he would not bow, he would not break, he would find the truth, and he would escape this nightmare, no matter the cost. Ryan Hale was pushed down another long hallway, the lights turning softer and dimmer with every step. The air felt thick now, almost warm, like he was walking into the breath of some giant creature waiting in the dark. The guards said nothing, but their grip on his arms was tighter than before, as if they were afraid he might run, or worse, discover something he was not meant to know. He tried to count his steps to stay calm, but his mind kept replaying the words from the court: breeding chamber, newly adult females, biological resource. None of it made sense, none of it felt natural. Something in the judges' voices told him the truth was not what they said. There was something hidden behind their calm expressions, something dangerous. They reached a tall metal door glowing with a soft pink light. One of the guards placed a clawed hand on a scanner and the door opened without a sound. A wave of warm air touched Ryan's face, carrying a scent he could not identify, sweet but sharp, almost like flowers burning. Inside, the room was huge, soft-lit, and strangely silent. He expected cages or chains or medical machines, but instead, the chamber looked like a temple: smooth floors, curved walls, gentle lights flowing like water across the ceiling. It was beautiful, but in a cold, artificial way, like paradise made by someone who had never seen real beauty. At the far end stood a group of young alien females. Their bodies were tall and graceful, their skin patterned with glowing lines that moved like living ink. Their eyes were large and bright, but they were not looking at Ryan with fear or curiosity. They looked at him with anger, controlled and sharp, the kind of anger that hides behind silence. Ryan froze. The guards pushed him forward. He stumbled but stayed on his feet. His gaze locked with one of the females. She had silver patterns on her arms and dark eyes filled with something he could not read, but she stepped back when the guards approached, not from fear, but rejection. One guard announced, "Human subject has arrived." His voice echoed around the chamber like a threat. The females did not answer, they only stared. Ryan felt their eyes scanning him, measuring him, judging him. He tried to speak, but his throat felt dry. Finally he managed, "I don't know why I'm here," he said, "but I'm not your enemy." The guards laughed in a low, ugly tone. "They do not care for your words," one said, "they obey the tribunal." But Ryan noticed something. The female's eyes shifted slightly, not toward him, but toward the guards. Their anger was not at him, their hatred was directed at the guards, at the system, at the tribunal itself. And for the first time since waking up in this nightmare, he felt a spark of hope. Maybe he was not alone in this. The silver-marked female took one slow step forward. Her voice was soft, almost like wind. "Human," she said, "do you know what they want from you?" Ryan shook his head, "No." Her eyes darkened. "Good," she whispered, "then they have not broken you yet." The guards tensed. Silence. One snapped, but the female ignored him. Her bravery shocked Ryan. She leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "They lie to you," she said, "they lie to us all." Before Ryan could ask more, the guards grabbed him and pulled him toward a smaller chamber on the side. The door closed behind them, leaving the females outside. Ryan's heartbeat raced. He felt he had touched something important, something forbidden. Inside the chamber, the guards activated a control panel. A soft pink mist filled the room. Ryan coughed and tried to cover his mouth. "What is this?" he demanded, but the guards did not answer. The mist made the room blurry, lights bending like waves. Ryan felt dizzy for a moment, then suddenly clear, as if his senses sharpened. One of the guards said, "This prepares you." "For what?" Ryan growled. "For compliance," the guard replied, his voice flat. Ryan stepped back, fighting the rising panic inside him. He could feel the mist trying to calm him, trying to make him passive, but his mind pushed back. He thought of home, of freedom, of the angry eyes of the alien females who saw him as a fellow prisoner. He refused to break. The mist turned off, and the guards dragged him back into the main chamber. Ryan staggered forward, still dizzy but awake enough to understand danger. Then something unexpected happened. One of the alien females moved closer. She pretended to touch Ryan's arm gently, but her fingers pressed a pattern into his skin, a quick motion, almost invisible, but he felt it, 3 taps on his wrist, 2 taps on his palm, 1 on his forearm. It was a message, a warning, a desperate signal. Her eyes met his and he understood, she was telling him something important, something urgent, something forbidden, and the guards had not seen it. The silver-marked female whispered with her lips barely moving, "You must not obey, if you obey, you will die." Ryan felt a chill spread through his body, not from fear, but from the truth in her voice. The guards ordered him forward, interrupting the moment. The females stepped back, hiding the fact they had communicated. As Ryan was pushed deeper into the chamber, he realized something huge. The tribunal was not in control, not fully. The females knew the truth, the guards feared something hidden, and Ryan, a stranger in their world, was now part of a secret no one dared to speak aloud. He was not brought here to save them, he was brought here because the tribunal feared him, and whatever they were hiding was darker than anything he had imagined. The truth was not about breeding, or survival, or biology, it was something far worse, and Ryan knew he had only begun to uncover the danger around him. Ryan was dragged out of the chamber, but something inside him had changed. The silver-marked female's warning repeated in his mind again and again, "If you obey, you will die." Her voice was soft, but the meaning was sharp like a blade. He did not know why she risked helping him, but he felt the fear in her eyes, a fear deeper than anything he had seen in the court. The guards pulled him through a narrow hallway filled with glowing vines attached to the walls. The vines vibrated with a low hum, sending waves of sound through the metal floor. Ryan felt the vibration in his bones, almost like the building itself was alive and watching him. They shoved him into a smaller holding room, empty except for a metal bench. The door shut with a heavy thud, locking him inside. Ryan sat slowly, his body tired but his mind racing. He replayed every detail, every whisper, every look from the alien females. There was a truth here, and it was big enough that the tribunal wanted him to never learn it. The room grew silent, then suddenly the lights flickered. Ryan looked up, confused. The air changed, colder now. A faint knocking sound echoed from the wall behind him, soft but repeating in a strange rhythm. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap, tap. It almost sounded like a code. Ryan stood slowly, pressing his hand on the wall. "Is someone there?" he whispered. No answer came, but the tapping changed, faster now, urgent. Ryan stepped back, the metal surface shifted slightly, as if something inside the wall was waking up. Then a hidden panel slid open, and a small drone floated out. Its body was shaped like a tiny metal sphere, its surface covered in scratches and scorch marks. It hovered in front of him, making a soft clicking sound. Ryan reached out carefully, not sure if it would attack. Instead, the drone projected a small hologram in the air. The image flickered, showing a symbol Ryan had seen earlier, the same symbol repeated on the corridor walls, a human figure, standing next to a burning star. Ryan stared at it, pulse quickening. "What does that mean?" he whispered. The drone buzzed loudly, warning him to be quiet. Then the hologram changed, showing a map of the facility, glowing red tunnels and chambers. Several areas were blinking rapidly, explosions shaking them. The drone turned its lens toward Ryan, almost as if telling him to look closer. The blinking areas weren't random, they were attacks. Someone was fighting back. Ryan's breath caught. The rebellion the females had spoken about was real, and it was happening right now. Inside the facility, the drone drifted closer and tapped the metal bench twice. It wanted him to sit. Ryan obeyed, unsure but curious. The drone extended a thin wire that attached to the restraints on his wrists. A spark flashed, and the locks fell open. Ryan stared in disbelief. The drone had freed him. It beeped twice, a soft sound that felt almost like hope. But before Ryan could react further, alarms exploded across the building, loud sirens, flashing red lights, the floor shaking under his feet. The drone zipped back into the hidden panel and vanished. The wall sealed itself, leaving no trace behind. Ryan stood quickly, his restraints lay broken at his feet. He had one chance, one moment to move before the guards returned. He rushed to the door, pressing his ear against it. Voices shouted outside, footsteps ran in every direction. Something serious was happening, something big enough to drag the guards away from him. He searched the room for anything he could use as a tool. Then he noticed the vent near the ceiling. It was small but not too small for him to squeeze through. Ryan climbed onto the bench, pushed hard against the metal grate. it resisted, creaked, then snapped open. He pulled himself inside, crawling forward into the darkness. The vent was hot and narrow, every move scraping his elbows, but Ryan pushed on, determined. He needed answers, he needed to find the females again, especially the silver-marked one. She knew something that could change everything. The vent split into two paths. Ryan hesitated, then followed the one where the vibrations were stronger. After crawling for what felt like minutes, he reached another grate. Through it he saw a large room below, filled with alien workers rushing in panic. Smoke drifted from the far wall, and sparks rained down from the ceiling. One worker shouted, "The rebels broke through Sector 9, another screamed, "They are heading for the core." The core, Ryan thought. He remembered the drone's hologram. Sector 9 was one of the blinking areas. The rebellion was real, powerful, and close. As he watched, a worker looked up suddenly, staring directly at the vent. Ryan froze. The worker stepped forward, but instead of calling for guards, he raised a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Then, with a trembling hand, he pointed toward another hallway, his eyes pleading, guiding Ryan to escape. Ryan nodded slowly and kept crawling. His heart raced. He felt the truth pulling closer with every step. The rebellion was connected to him, the symbol on the walls, the drone freeing him, the aliens warning him. It wasn't random, it was planned, or foretold. He reached another vent opening and looked down into a dim underground area. Shadows moved, whispering urgently. Then he heard it clearly. "The human is awake," a voice said. "Good, we need him before the tribunal gets to him." Ryan's blood turned cold. They were waiting for him, they wanted him, and now he had to decide whether to trust the rebellion or run from everything. Whispers rose below him, voices filled with hope and fear. "The human will change everything," one said. "The prophecy is real." Ryan's entire world shifted. This wasn't about breeding, or courts, or survival. It was about him. His existence mattered in ways he never imagined, and the tribunal feared that truth more than anything. Ryan stayed still inside the vent, his breath slow and controlled. The voices below him continued whispering, their words heavy with urgency. They spoke about him like he was a weapon, like he was something important, something dangerous to the tribunal. He had no idea why, but the fear in their voices told him the truth was bigger than he imagined. He pushed the vent cover open carefully and dropped down into the shadows. The underground hall was dim and wide, lit only by flickering red lights. Pipes twisted across the ceiling, dripping warm steam. The air smelled like burnt metal and chemicals. Ryan moved slowly, pressing his back to the wall, trying to stay hidden. Suddenly a shadow stepped forward. Ryan tensed, ready to fight, but the figure raised both hands in peace. A young alien worker stood before him, his skin pale blue, his eyes shaking with fear. "Human," he whispered, "you must come with me." Ryan narrowed his eyes. "Why should I trust you?" The worker swallowed hard. "Because the tribunal wants you dead," he said, "and we do not." Ryan felt a chill run through him. "They said they needed me," he said, "for breeding." The worker shook his head quickly. "That is the lie," he whispered, "a lie to keep you quiet. You are not here to breed, you are here because of the prophecy." Ryan stepped closer. "Prophecy," he repeated, "what prophecy?" Before the worker could answer, the walls shook violently, dust rained down from above, a loud explosion echoed through the tunnels, sirens howled, bathing the hall in red light. The worker grabbed Ryan's arm. "We must go now," he said, "the rebellion is breaking through the inner gates, the tribunal will send hunters to find you." Ryan had no choice. He followed the worker through a narrow tunnel, the floor vibrating with distant rumbling. Guards shouted in the distance, their footsteps heavy and fast. The worker led Ryan around a corner, then another, until they reached a huge steel door sealed with thick locks. The worker tapped a hidden panel, his fingers trembling. "This way," he said, "you will meet the others." The door opened with a hiss, revealing a hidden chamber filled with blinking lights, computer screens, and alien rebels wearing dark armor made from scavenged technology. Some looked shocked to see a human standing at the entrance, others stared like they were seeing a myth come alive. One rebel stepped forward, a tall female with bronze markings on her skin. Her eyes were sharp, focused. "Ryan Hale," she said, speaking his name perfectly, as if she had practiced it. "Welcome." Ryan studied her, unsure. "How do you know my name?" She smiled faintly. We have known it for a long time, she said, since the prophecy was written, centuries ago. Ryan's heartbeat quickened. What prophecy? He demanded. What does it say about me? The room grew quiet, even the machines seemed to listen. The bronze-marked rebel walked closer. It says a human warrior will arrive when the tribunal reaches full corruption, she said, a human with an unbroken spirit, a human who cannot be controlled. Ryan shook his head slowly. That can't be me, he said, I'm just a soldier. No, the rebel said calmly, you survived their scan, their mist, their mental tests. No human has ever resisted all of that. The tribunal fears you because you are proof the prophecy is real. Before Ryan could answer, the room shook again, harder this time. An alarm flashed, bright red on every screen. A rebel shouted, the tribunal's hunters are coming, they are cutting through the east wall. The bronze-marked rebel snapped into action. Move him to the lower tunnels, she ordered, protect him at all costs. Two rebels grabbed weapons and motioned Ryan to follow. They ran down a metal staircase, the lights flickering overhead. The deeper they went, the louder the alarms became. Ryan's heart pounded with every echoing blast. They reached the bottom level, a huge tunnel glowing with orange emergency lights. Steam hissed from broken pipes, a loud metallic roar shook the air, followed by the heavy stomps of something massive approaching. One rebel cursed, the hunters are here. Ryan turned to him. What are hunters? He asked. They are the tribunal's killing machines, the rebel replied, half metal, half living. They do not stop, they do not feel pain, they will tear through walls to reach you. Ryan swallowed hard. Great, he muttered, so they sent monsters after me. A loud crash shook the tunnel, a steel bulkhead tore open like paper, and a towering creature stepped through the smoke. Its body was black metal and muscle, its eyes burning with cold red light. It scanned the tunnel and locked onto Ryan instantly. Ryan felt adrenaline explode inside him. The rebels opened fire, but the bullets sparked off the hunter's armor. The creature charged, smashing through the floor. Ryan ran with full speed as the rebels tried to block the monster. Go, one rebel shouted, find the core, stop their plan. Ryan sprinted down the tunnel, the hunter's roar shaking the air behind him. Steam blasted around him, alarms screamed, and the entire facility trembled. He didn't know what the core was yet, or what plan he needed to stop, but he knew one thing clearly. Whatever the tribunal wanted, whatever secrets they were hiding, he was now in the middle of it, and the only way to survive was to keep running forward, straight into the heart of the war that was beginning around him. Ryan ran deeper into the tunnel, his lungs burning, the roar of the hunter shaking the air behind him. The ground vibrated with every step the monster took, metal plates cracking under its weight. Ryan forced himself to move faster, knowing one stumble could end everything. The tunnel ahead split into two paths. One path glowed red from warning lights, the other was almost completely dark. Ryan hesitated for a second, then chose darkness. It was risky, but the hunter would expect him to take the lighted route. Ryan slipped into the dark passage, his hands brushing the cold walls as he moved fast and silent. Behind him, the hunter crashed into the metal beams, its claws scraping the floor. It sniffed the air, searching for him. Ryan pressed himself against the wall, holding his breath. The creature paused, its red eyes glowing like fire in the shadows. For a moment he thought it sensed him. Then, far down the main tunnel, an explosion shook the walls. The hunter turned sharply and ran toward the sound, chasing the rebels instead. Ryan felt a heavy mix of guilt and relief. The rebels were risking everything to give him a chance, he couldn't waste it. He moved forward until he reached a large circular door marked with glowing symbols. The same symbol appeared in the center, the human figure next to a burning star. Ryan stared at it, feeling a strange pull, like he had seen it long before today. The door opened by itself as he stepped closer, almost like it responded to him. Inside was a massive chamber filled with humming machines, glowing tubes, and a central platform surrounded by rising energy fields. The air buzzed with power so strong it made Ryan's skin tingle. He stepped forward carefully, his eyes scanning every corner. Then he saw it. A colossal structure stood in the center, shaped like a giant pod, its surface half metal, half flesh, pulsing with slow heart-like beats. Thick cables ran into it, feeding energy inside. Ryan felt a terrible sensation in his chest, like the pod was alive, like it was breathing. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind him, calm and familiar, "You found it at last." Ryan turned fast, fists raised. The bronze-marked rebel stood in the doorway, her armor cracked from battle, her breathing heavy, yet her eyes were calm, almost relieved. "You were meant to come here," she said. "This is the core, the true heart of the Tribunal." Ryan pointed at the pod. "What is that thing?" he demanded. "What are they trying to create?" The rebel walked closer, her steps slow and careful. "A ruler," she whispered, "something stronger than them, stronger than us, a hybrid leader to control the entire galaxy." Ryan frowned. "A hybrid of what?" he asked, though a part of him already knew the answer. The rebel looked at him, her expression dark and sad. "Human," she said softly, "and Terralion." Ryan felt the air leave his lungs. "No," he whispered, "that thing has human DNA." She nodded slowly, "Yes." Ryan stepped backward, his heart racing. "Why mine?" he demanded. "Why me?" The rebel took a shaky breath. "Because you carry the genetic strength the Tribunal fears most," she said. "Your DNA resists control, resists programming, resists their mental influence. You are one of the few humans they cannot bend." Ryan stared at the massive pod in horror. The core pulsed faster now, almost reacting to his presence. "So they wanted to use me to finish this monster," he said. "Complete it." "Yes," she whispered, "and once this creature awakens, it will obey only one thing, the Tribunal's command, and then every being in the galaxy will be under their rule." Ryan shook his head. "No, I won't let that happen." Before the rebel could answer, the chamber lights turned bright red. A loud alarm blasted through the room, a deep alien voice echoed through the walls. "Core seal breached," it announced. "Activate defense protocol." The ground shook, machines whirred to life, metal panels opened, revealing hidden weapons. The pod in the center began to glow with bright white light. Its pulse grew louder, stronger, faster, like it was waking up. The rebel grabbed Ryan's arm urgently. "We must destroy the core," she shouted, "now." Ryan looked around desperately. "How?" he yelled. "It's huge." She pointed at the control tower above them, a tall structure covered in wires and glowing screens. "Destroy that," she said, "and the creature will die before it wakes." Ryan nodded and ran toward the tower, climbing the metal stairs 2 steps at a time. The chamber shook violently, sparks flying around him. As he reached the top, he saw the main power conduit, a thick glowing tube pumping energy into the core. He lifted a heavy metal bar from the floor and swung it as hard as he could. The tube cracked, sparks exploding. He hit it again, and again, his arms burning with pain. The third strike shattered it. Energy burst out like lightning, throwing Ryan back against the wall, his vision blurred, his body shaking from the shock. Below, the core screamed, a long, horrible sound that wasn't human or alien. The pod split open, white light flooding the chamber. The creature inside moved, slowly, painfully, reaching toward the air for the first time. "Ryan," the rebel screamed, "finish it." Ryan forced himself up, grabbed a fallen pipe, and jumped onto the control panel. He smashed it with everything he had left. The screens burst, electricity arcing across the chamber, machines shut down, lights flickered, the core collapsed in on itself, the creature inside falling back into darkness. The chamber exploded in a flash of sparks and smoke. Ryan covered his face, heat washing over him. When the shaking stopped, he opened his eyes. The core was dead, silent, broken. He had stopped the Tribunal's secret plan, but as he looked around at the ruined chamber, one thought hit him hard. This was only the beginning.